Ventures. So today I'm going to make a bundle using Quote Happily, which is a HubSpot native CPQ product for a Rivian car. I was going to do a Tesla, but I was told that Rivian may be a little bit less controversial for the moment. So we're going to do that instead. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to make a bundle in Quote Happily for the R1S, which is a pretty cool vehicle. I see them in my neighborhood all of the time. So we're going to have an R1S bundle. I'm going to go ahead and set that up inside of Quote Happily. This looks like sort of wheels choices and a couple of other things. So what I'm going to do before we get started is I'm going to make all of these as products in HubSpot. So I'm going to create the R1S California Dune as a product. I'm going to add these wheels as a product. And then we have all of these accessories. So I'm going to create all of these as products inside of HubSpot as well. So I'm going to pause. I'm going to do that real quick, and then we'll be right back. And now we're back. So this is all of our Rivian products. We have all of these. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to make a bundle inside of Quote Happily. So let's go to Quote Happily. Let's go to our bundles screen here. We've already made some bundles previously. So you'll see sort of like our MacBook bundle that we made that has display and memory and storage and power. That's in another video. But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make our Rivian bundles. First, we're going to have our bundle header. This is going to be the base product that everything sort of relates back to. So in this case, it's that R1S Rivian car. So we're going to go ahead and the R1S California Dune is our product. And so then we have to set a bundle price. So we're going to go ahead and add this to a price book. I'm going to make a new price book so that we can do this really easily too. So we're going to make Rivian vehicles and save that. And then we're going to add all of our Rivian products. And actually, I only want the bundle in there. So when you have a price book, we don't want to sell any of these things a la carte. We only want to sell them to people that buy the vehicle. So we only want to show these other ones. So we'll go ahead and remove both of those. Okay, let's go build our bundle. So if we go to our Rivian R1S California Dune, so there are included product options. So we have this R1S. So let's go ahead and let's hit buy on that. So the first thing that we have is an option for wheels. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a wheels option to this. And we're going to add in, these are the two wheel options that we have. And what we get is we have to select a default option, which is this one, that 20-inch Dune Satin. And then this one's $1,000. So what we're going to do is we're going to update this also to $1,000. So what that'll do, right, is if somebody goes and has wheels and the sales rep's building the quote, this is the only option that they'll have default selected. But then if they add this option, it'll actually add $1,000 to the cost. So we'll save that as an option. So let's go back to Rivian. And I think everything else on here, honestly, is actually an add-on. So they're calling it accessories, but I think in our world, it's an add-on because none of this stuff is default included. And it looks like you can have multiple of all of these too. It looks like mount is maybe in here. So let's add an all-terrain option. And so this is an option where it looks like that you can't actually select multiple things, but we did have this max tracks thing as like the only one that you could do. So if we add this max track thing in here, this will just be the default option. So a sales rep won't be able to select anything else, but then when they make a quote for a customer, they'll see that they get this included for free, which is really helpful for sort of like how we sell. Okay, everything else for our Rivian looks like an add-on. So everything else in here, cargo crossboards also in here. Let's go ahead and add one of those too. And in their view, that went first. So I'm gonna go ahead and move that up. And let me just double check that nothing else in here comes. These just look like product categories versus anything that's included. Great. I'm going to go ahead and add all these other things that we had as potential Rivian add-ons. So let's go to our add-on products. Let's do add options. These will be our accessories. And we're going to go ahead and add all this stuff. All of those are our add-ons. And then we don't care about quantity limits. So here you can say sort of like what's the default quantity, the minimum quantity, and the max quantity. So if these add-ons get added, we'll default them to 1. Maybe we want to limit customers from buying more than 1. So we want to have that max quantity is equal to 1. You can also just lock them. So you can only sell 1 at a time. I don't think I care for this. Like if someone wants to buy 50 camp speakers with their Rivian, they can feel free. So let's go ahead and save that also. So you can limit your add-ons, but you can have sales reps may select more than one of the products below. So if you want to have like a bunch of different add-ons in here, you can do that, or you can do this other piece. Also, while we're doing this, why don't we go ahead and we break these out so we can actually have multiple product options. So here's how they have charging, and then there's a charging option. Let's actually go ahead and do that. So let's change this. Actually, you know what's interesting is all these are accessories, interior, crossbars, mounts. Okay, so we do want to have charging, even though there's only one option on that, and then interior. So let's go ahead and let's change this guy from accessories. And then the biggest one that they had was crossbars and mounts. So I'm going to do that instead. Let's do crossbars and mounts. And then let's remove everything that's not a mount from this. Mount, no cargo cover, no floor mats, no wall charger. Mount, awning is in there, no camp speaker. Okay, so I'm going to change that option. And then let's add the other one. So if we go back up to the top here, this was charging. So let's go ahead and set that up. We'll add our Rivian wall charger. Let's add that. And then we want interior options, and then interior. And then for interior, we want to do I think everything else is interior, right? Floor mats, camp speaker, cargo cover, field kit. Okay. So this is field kit, cargo cover, floor mats, camp speaker. And then we'll do sales reps can select more than one because they're allowed to have as many as they want. Okay, now we have our bundle in Quote Happily. So this is now ready to go. And we have our wheels, we have our all-terrain, we have our crossbars and mounts, we have all of our add-ons. I actually think it looks like this is interesting because they didn't structure this as an add-on. And I think it gets a little confusing. So I'm actually going to call this additional crossbars and mounts just to make it easier for our sales team to understand. And I'm going to activate this. Okay, we now have the R1S California Dune inside of Quote Happily. So let's go to HubSpot and let's sell a Rivian. So this is the Rivian. This is to Connor Jeffers. He lives in Brooklyn. I'm not in market for a Rivian. I don't need a car. I take the subway. So now I'm going to go to a deal. I have this Rivian Connor Jeffers Brooklyn price book or deal, and I'm going to create a quote. And now I need to select a price book. So let's go ahead and use our Rivian vehicles price book. And now when I go to select a product, I do the R1S California Dune. It's building out our bundle for us. And I'm going to go ahead and open this in a new tab just so we have more space. So now we have our R1S California Dune. This includes all these items. So we have our satin graphite all-terrain, but let's say we want some really cool matching tires. We'll go ahead and add that in. That increased our price by $1,000. And then these are all the things that are included out of the box, similar to sort of what they had there. Now I can go and I can start adding add-ons. So this guy wants a surfboard mount. He lives in New York. I don't know what he's going to do with that, but whatever. He needs a field kit. He wants a cargo cover. He needs a camp speaker because he needs to play some sick music. And he does want to add a charger on here as well. And so now we have our Rivian, and we have increased our price to $108,900 from our base stock price of $105,900. We've added about $3,000 of stuff. That's a little over our price point. We think the camp speaker is a little expensive. I've got a Bose portable at home. We'll go ahead and remove that. Now we're at $108,450. We're going to publish our quote. We're going to send it over to our customer and to our buyer, and we are going to let them transact, baby. And this is all their products. So this is a quote template that isn't grouping, but we could do a sort of show this and then show all the options selected, what's included, group stuff by all those categories. You can start doing lots of really cool stuff here. So that is how you build a Rivian inside of Quote Happily. Hope you enjoyed.